Up to 11 European spots, you say? Let's talk about it. Hello, West Ham Network, it's Holly, and I'm here today to chat to you about UEFA's very confusing coefficient ranking and what it means for West Ham's European football hopes. So our 5-0 win at home over Freiburg, what a game, in the round of 16, means that the Premier League is likely to pick up a 5th Champions League spot next season. And this is because of the changed Champions League format, which is also very confusing, but we're going to be running through it. So from next year, there are going to be 36 clubs competing, and this expansion basically means they need to find 4 more teams to play in that league from somewhere. So the interesting bit, and where this actually matters for West Ham, is that the extra places in the Champions League are being given to the best performing leagues in Europe. This is what the coefficient basically is, with 2 places going to the best 2 performing leagues. So Germany, Italy, Spain and England have been in contention for these spots. Italy are at the top, have a look at this, with a big gap, but England and Germany have been battling it out for the second spot. And Germany still have Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich remaining in the Champions League, while Bayer Leverkusen are in the Europa League quarterfinals after their comeback against Karabag. But they would need all 3 of these sides to go further in Europe to stop England going ahead of Germany in UEFA's coefficient table. And that is because we have 5 sides remaining in Europe compared to 4 from Italy and 3 from Germany. So every win by a club from a nation is worth 2 points and a draw is worth 1 point. And they also award bonus points, just to make it a little bit more confusing, when teams progress through certain stages of each of the competitions. And they also weight it in favour, with the Champions League being worth more bonus points than the Europa League with slightly less, and the least bonus points for the Conference League. So simply put, just to summarise what that actually means, our win last night puts West Ham in a really good position for the Premier League. Well, it puts everyone in a good position for the Premier League to gain an extra Champions League spot, meaning that the team finishing 5th in the Premier League could automatically qualify for the Conference League. Obviously, that also means it opens up more European spots overall. So the 2 Europa League spots would go to the FA Cup winners, but if they haven't already qualified for the Champions League, they get that, as well as the Premier League team that finishes 6th. Then the Conference League qualifiers would be the 7th and potentially 8th Premier League teams. So yeah, 7th and 8th in the Premier League could still get European football. Obviously, if we go on to win the Europa League, then we automatically qualify for the Champions League and wouldn't need to worry about any of this, which could also create spots for more further down the Premier League for other Premier League teams, but we don't really care about them, do we? So similarly, Villa could also go into the Europa League if they win the Conference League. But to confuse things further, their place will not be reallocated if they've already qualified for the Europa League 3 position. Why? I'm not entirely sure, but I read it on the BBC this morning. So so we trust that. But if you're sitting there thinking, these rules are really confusing, Holly, then you're correct. They've basically made it as confusing as humanly possible, rather than just making it a simple competition with a few more clubs in it. But to sum it up, it is technically possible, but pretty unlikely, that England could actually have 11 teams playing in Europe next season. This would be the usual 7 spots, plus an extra Champions League place, and the winners of all 3 European competitions if they finish outside of the European spots in the league. Most likely, though, it'll go down to 8th. But yeah, interesting. Could technically be 11. Probably won't be. But yeah, it should probably go down to 8th, I reckon. So West Ham have 2 methods of getting European football next season. First, to go on and win the Europa League, which if we perform like we did last night, I definitely wouldn't put it out of reach. Although, you know what West Ham do? We draw the hardest teams. We have Leverkusen up next in the quarterfinals, who have not been beaten, I believe, since May last year. So yeah, minor details, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But if we can get past them, you've got to knock out the best to do the best. That's what they always say, isn't it? Is that what the saying is? Something like that. And secondly, the other way we can do it, other than winning, is by position in the Premier League, which again is looking pretty good if we can pick up a few points, fix the challenges that we've been having, and basically play like we did against Freiburg, because that was very exciting. If we can just replicate that, weird one. I don't know exactly what the difference is. It feels like there've been all these little missing puzzle pieces, and then you're like, Why have we not been doing that the whole time? But if we can do that, then we're in a very good position again to qualify for Europe. And just as a reminder, here is the league table. As you can see, we are sitting 7th, which is very good. Despite having our fair few challenges, 7th in the league is something 4 or 5 years ago we would have absolutely laughed at the thought of even having the opportunity to be 7th. But we are in reach of 6th, but we also have Chelsea, Newcastle, Wolves and Brighton hot on our heels. So there you have it. Our win against Freiburg hasn't only helped our hopes in the Europa League this season, it's also boosted our chances of European football, even if we get knocked out. And there you go. That's been your very confusing explanation of UEFA's coefficient ranking and what it actually means for West Ham. Hope it makes sense. If you've got any questions, drop them in the questions and I will drop them in the comments and I will try my very best to answer them for you. But there we go. That is all from me for today. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on the video if you have enjoyed it. Drop us a comment with your European football expectations. How far are we going to make it? How can we most likely make it into European football next season? Is it going to be in the league? Is it going to be how we do in Europa League? Let us know. Drop it down below. And until next time, come on you irons. Bye-bye.